What if everything you've been told about what's possible is a lie? What if the life you settle for, the struggles you endure, the quiet desperation you hide behind, could all be rewritten with a single unshakable choice? You feel it, don't you? That tension inside, the restless whisper that says there must be more. It's there in the ache of your tired mornings, the frustration of watching the world move while you feel stuck, like you're trapped in a story someone else wrote. And yet, somewhere deep in your chest, a spark refuses to die. It whispers that change isn't just a dream reserved for others. It's yours if you dare to claim it. Imagine standing at the edge of the ordinary and seeing possibility stretch out beyond the horizon. It's not about luck. It's not about waiting for the world to notice you. It's about understanding that greatness doesn't arrive politely. It demands persistence. It demands courage. It demands sacrifice. Most people shrink back because it's easier to accept mediocrity, to convince themselves that they tried enough, that their small failures define them. But that whisper inside you, the one you've buried under fear and doubt, it's truth. It knows the world can be different. You can be different. There was a man who looked around at the chaos and corruption, the complacency that choked progress, and he refused to bow to it. Every insult, every dismissal, every hand that tried to push him down became fuel. The world said he couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't. And for a moment, the doubt was heavy, crushing, almost unbearable. But in that weight, he found clarity. Every challenge was no longer a wall, but a stepping stone. Every failure was no longer a defeat, but a lesson carved in fire. And slowly, deliberately, he began to rewrite the rules, not for himself, but for the countless others who had been told they had no voice, no power, no chance. You know that feeling when people laugh at your vision, when they label your ambition as foolish, impossible, or naive? It stings, but it's also proof. Proof that you're looking beyond the confines of ordinary. Proof that you're willing to risk discomfort for something greater. That is where transformation begins. It starts with refusing to let fear define your choices, refusing to let the noise of doubt drown the rhythm of your own heartbeat. It begins the moment you stop asking permission and start carving your path through the resistance. He wasn't perfect. He stumbled, faltered, and faced moments where the weight of expectation and responsibility threatened to break him, but each time he rose. Not because the world handed him success, but because he understood something most never do. The most profound change doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when the odds are stacked against you, when the world bets you will fail, when every fiber of your being screams for surrender and yet you refuse to listen. It happens in the silence before the roar, in the lonely hours no one notices, in the choices that feel invisible but echo forever. And here's the truth you feel deep down. Your life, your country, your destiny, none of it is fixed. Every limitation, every obstacle, every person who told you no can be challenged. The spark in your chest is the same force that moved him, the same force that turns audacity into action, vision into reality. If you stay with this journey, if you let yourself see how one person can disrupt the status quo, confront every barrier, and inspire an entire nation, you will begin to understand something vital. You will begin to see that change is not reserved for the extraordinary. It is claimed by the relentless, by the unwilling to quit, by the ones who dare to step into the impossible and refuse to look back. And so, as the weight of your own doubts presses in, remember this. The story of change is written by those who refuse to settle, who turn struggle into momentum, who see obstacles not as endings, but as beginnings. That spark inside you, that restless, questioning, unyielding spark, it is your call. It is your invitation to rise, to challenge, to create something that echoes far beyond your own life. The road is not easy, but nothing worth shaping ever is. The reward lies not in comfort, but in impact, in transformation, in knowing that by daring to believe, daring to act, you have stepped into the force that can change everything. Every step forward was a battle. Every voice that doubted him, every hand that tried to stop him, became a weight he carried with purpose. The world wanted him small, ordinary, invisible, but he refused. He knew the cost of ambition was high, but the cost of surrender was higher. Every obstacle, every insult, every failure was a test, not of his ability, but of his commitment to something larger than himself. The moment you choose to fight, you begin to understand that struggle is not an enemy, it is the proving ground. And he proved again and again that courage is forged not in comfort, but in the heat of relentless opposition. There were days when defeat whispered seductively, tempting him with the ease of giving up. The cynics shouted, the media mocked, and the system tried to crush him under its weight. Yet in the silence of the night, in the moments no one saw, he found clarity. He realized that persistence is a form of rebellion, that every refusal to quit is a victory, that every small step taken against impossibility carries the seeds of transformation. This is the same truth that waits inside you. The battles that seem endless, the resistance that feels insurmountable, are the very moments that define your power. He embraced risk with a ferocity most could not imagine. Every decision carried consequences that could ruin him, yet he moved with unwavering conviction. Fear was not a signal to stop, but a compass pointing toward what mattered most. He stepped into storms that would have broken ordinary people, confronting corruption, injustice, and complacency with a courage that demanded attention. And slowly, the impossible began to shift. Change, when pursued relentlessly, has a gravity of its own. It bends reality toward those who refuse to yield. Imagine the intensity of standing alone against every force telling you no. The pressure is unbearable. Every failure feels permanent. Every misstep is magnified. Yet he persisted, not for glory, not for applause, but for the vision he refused to abandon. He understood that leadership is not about popularity, it is about purpose. It is about carrying a burden so heavy that few would dare touch it and turning that weight into momentum. Every setback became a lesson. Every attack became an opportunity. Every moment of doubt became fuel. And with each passing day, the impossible inched closer to reality. He taught a nation that hope is not inherited, it is earned. That courage is not spontaneous, it is chosen. That one determined soul can ignite change even when the odds are stacked impossibly high. And as he moved forward, every citizen who once felt powerless began to see themselves in his struggle. They felt the pulse of possibility, the reminder that history is written not by those who wait, but by those who act. The energy he carried was contagious. It stirred hearts, it awakened minds, it reminded people that change begins with a single, unshakable commitment. And here is the truth you feel but often ignore. Resistance is inevitable. Opposition is constant. Failure is guaranteed at some point. But surrender is optional. Every time you refuse to give in, every time you fight despite fear, you claim a piece of your own destiny. The force that drove him, the relentless refusal to accept limitations, is the same force that exists inside you. It is the spark that refuses to die, the voice that whispers you are capable of more than you know, the strength that can defy the odds and shape reality itself. The stakes are higher than comfort, higher than approval, higher than fear. The choices you make now ripple beyond your own life. They can shape communities, inspire others, awaken potential that has been buried for generations. The pressure you feel is not a sign to stop. It is proof that you are standing on the edge of impact. The intensity of struggle is proof that significance is near. The pain, the doubt, the uncertainty, they are the hallmarks of transformation. Those who embrace them, who move through them with unflinching resolve, emerge not just changed, but powerful beyond measure. And so, as you feel the weight of your own challenges pressing down, remember this: nothing that matters comes without resistance. Every obstacle, every fear, every voice that tells you to quit is an invitation to rise. The force that moved him, that defied every expectation, that turned opposition into momentum, is not foreign. It is yours, waiting, ready, igniting the change that begins within you, shaping the world around you, turning audacity into action, and transforming impossible into inevitable. The question is no longer whether it can happen. It is whether you will let it happen through you. The moment of transformation is not gentle. It is brutal. It demands everything you have and more than you think you can give. Every fear you hide, every doubt you cling to, every comfort you protect stands in the way of what is possible. He faced that same reality,